Welcome, friends, to Rad Pod and Chill. The world may be going to shit, but right here, you can just join us at the virtual bar, and we're just going to have a pretty cool hour, you know, breaking some news, recapping some news, swapping some personal stories, and just being grateful to have this forum and this platform and this time together. At least I am. How are you guys? I'm Heidi. You guys are here, so you know who we are, but we got Jim Stewartson, High
Hello.
Fidelity, Sean Connor.
Hi.
And we are an investigative show about disinformation, but on Thursday nights, we're just four parents who kind of come together. And I don't know, I feel like every time I'm with you guys, we are working toward making the world a more informed place. I feel really good about that.
That's the hope.
Yeah, man. You know, every time I think about, every time there's so much coming at us that could throw us down the rabbit hole of despair, but this show is taking action. I know me personally, the investigative work I do is taking action. The books I write are taking action. It's kind of the only way that I can cope. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone has different things, but I know if I'm busy, if I'm threading, you know, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I started to go down that rabbit hole. Like, I look at a Dave Troy tweet and it's like, kill Putin or we all die. And I'm like, I love Dave Troy.
He's not wrong.
You know what? I love Dave Troy, right? And
he's right. That's what he's very.
Yeah, he's a very smart man.
What he's talking about. But here, can I have a little good news?
Please.
Good news.
Look,
yes.
Here's the thing that's happening right now, as I can see it. Putin has definitely lost his shit. He has, pardon my language, smelled his own farts for too long in the Kremlin during the pandemic. Like, dude believes his own propaganda at this point. He believes that he's supposed to be emperor of, the Soviet Empire, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about that is, it's extremely bad. He is a terrifying dictatorial fascist with thousands of nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he fucked up bad.
Yeah.
He really fucked up. Like, he miscalculated all types of shit. All types of shit.
Seems like
us.
And the funniest part, I'll shut up in a sec.
Don't.
Is Mike Flynn is negotiating for Putin.
I know. That's weak, man.
He wrote a fucking article basically negotiating with NATO and the United States on behalf of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
He wrote an editorial.
He's saying, listen, I think, Ukraine isn't really totally not to blame here, right? You know, what was it wearing when it got invaded? Like that.
Right. That was a great line. I saw
right?
that. Yeah.
And so he's saying, okay, you know what Putin might take is if you just give him Crimea. You don't want that. You don't need the port or anything or the fucking you don't need Crimea. Also, you're gonna have to give up any right you have to join NATO and protect yourself militarily. In other words, you're no longer a sovereign nation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So Flynn is out here basically trying to say, "Whoa, Vlad, you fucked up, dude."
You know how I read that?
Let's see if we can cut our losses, get you Crimea, get Ukraine out of NATO, and I'll take care of you. It's just amazing.
What you got?
You had your hand up first.
I have a counter offer for Mike Flynn and Vladimir Putin. Get your fucking troops out of Russia. You'll be lucky, Putin, if you're not fucking beheaded. Mike Flynn, shut your fucking mouth and fess up to everything, and maybe we won't execute you for treason, you punk ass bitch.
Yeah,
Sorry.
a little truth and reconciliation. So one of
Hey,
my
dude, it's Rad Pod and Chill, man.
Oh, my bad. I'm chill. Well, I haven't completely chilled yet.
We break the rules here, but no,
Chill, Winston.
there's a lot of favorite things I have
hope
about
Mike
hi-fi.
watches this.
Of course, sure they do. There's a lot of things I like about hi-fi, but I really like the fact that he's Irish and Scottish, and his last little summation there, I think, is evidence of that. You have some very strong resistance blood in you, man. So I read that headline and the Substack that you did on Flynn, and I saw that as just like, I am Putin's bitch. This is situation, normal, all fucked up. This is a big fucking snafu. And as Putin's bitch, I'm going to try to throw something, at the wall that might stick. But no, they are so obviously, we've been doing this work for a long time. I've been doing this work for a long time. I titled my ebook, It's Complicated, because it's compromat, it's complicated, it's a fifth column. We all know that. But in this moment, this grave moment where we don't know what these mad men will do, so many incredible things are happening. Holy shit. Like
Yeah,
one
they
thing
are.
after another. Me, I swear on Rad Pod and Chill, but I don't generally swear publicly, prolifically, because I try to be a lady of grace when I can. I know. Jack Hannock. Sean Hannity's, former director, Sean Treasonous Hannity's former director, getting fucking arrested. Malafiev's boy, who brought, the version of Fox to Russia, that is like the icing on the cake of all these things that have been happening. One right after the other. And I keep thinking, is the mob roll up here? Is it starting to happen?
Well, that's the thing. There does seem to be actual action being taken. For example, Russia Today, shutdown.
RT America.
RT America, bye-bye.
Yeah. On top of, yes, go ahead.
By the way, if you happen to have your book reviewed positively by RT America, you might want to rethink the content.
Who
Pardon
did
me.
that?
But I was just the fact that the sort of not reunification, but the sort of commitment to NATO and the sort of bonding together of all of those countries with a common enemy, with a common goal. Obviously, very refreshing. It reminded me of when during the pandemic, when everybody was sheltering in place, and then nature came back, and it's like Venice is was gorgeous and blue, and it's like pretty quickly things can come together, and we've seen that in the past week.
Well,
Sean,
nature is
what
healing.
does Sean's shirt say? Sean, what does your shirt? Lean back. We're all in this side. Nice.
I love you, man. So I just want to read a couple bullet points that I think are important. We obviously know that Putin's financial nuts are in a vice, and a lot of that has to do with an incredible Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, Chrystia Freeland. If you don't know who she is, look her up. We'll get to her thread because Marty tipped us off to that. Oligarch yachts being seized, Credit Suisse shredding oligarch paper trails. Oh my God, right? Flynn has no executive privilege. Trump's rejected by the Supreme Court. Clearly, the Ukrainian people are global heroes. Abramovich is selling Chelsea, like one thing after another. And, that was just the starter kit. Now you've got Jack Hannock being arrested. Now, we all know about the churchy fuckery between the, Orthodox Church in Russia and the CNP-backed people here. And so when you have one of the guys who's like at the nucleus of that being arrested, I can't help but feel some sort of hope. I think I've quoted this before, but there's some poets in Watts called the Watts Prophets. And they always, one of their lines that I learned from them is, it may not come when you want it, but it does come on time. And I feel like, it has not come when I wanted it, but it feels like it might be coming on time. So, you know, pretty exciting.
I got 2 points to make.
Go for it.
Yes, the Ukrainian people are heroes. It sure would be fucking nice if the world would step up and make sure they're not posthumous heroes.
Yeah.
That's kind of important.
Yeah.
And the second thing I want to point out is you said the CNP and the Russian Orthodox Church. I would like to also add to that list Opus Dei.
Yeah.
If you remember Robert Hansen, he was one of the worst spies that this country has ever had. Gave information to Russia. He was a member of Opus Dei. William Barr, Bill Barr, who was the
I just saw Bill's interviewed. He's throwing Trump under the bus.
CYA.
Well, he's trying to. Everybody is in reputation washing mode, and it needs to not be allowed. No reputation washing.
William Barr is the dirtiest motherfucker.
He's a fixer.
On planet
He's a fixer.
Well, it's Haley, right?
This is Iran Contra era motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like this he was AG
when
to cover up for Iran Contra for Bush.
And his dad
this guy has done exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. By the way, Opus Dei as fuck. He was on the board of the Catholic Information Center, which is where Opus Dei had their K Street lobbying shop, and he was fucking chairman of the board. Like
wasn't his dad
that dude? Remember what he did when the Mueller report came out? Remember all the fuckery and
nothing to see here, kids.
Did absolutely everything in his power to make it powerless and toothless. That motherfucker does not need to be revived in any way whatsoever.
No.
I did
on my television getting interviewed like a normal person. You should be in a fucking jumpsuit.
His dad, right? His dad was the one that sort of got
Donald Barr.
Introduced to the sort of social circles and his first professor job and
he's been a
point of
fixer
data
for all the Republican administrations.
Another point of data about William Barr's father. Every interview with Bill Barr should start with the question. I saw this tweet. Somebody said this. It was hilarious. Every interview of Bill Barr should start with the question, why did your father hire an unqualified, uncertified Jeffrey Epstein to teach at an all-girls school?
Yeah,
please explain.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And you guys remember his weird science fiction book that he wrote also?
Yeah.
Whatever that was.
Oh yeah, there was something about sex slaves, and
it's a weird book. Yeah, it's like a weird,
it's really weird.
We could do this all day.
Yeah.
We could do this all day. Remember that time that Bill Barr buried the Caterpillar, investigation into their offshoring of their taxes? Remember that? Craig Unger said something so brilliant when I did an interview with him for Byline Times on American Compromat, his incredible book. He said that when an oligarch wanted to come out to America and start bribing people, he was told, oh, no. You just go get a K Street lobbyist, pay them $1 million. You don't got to bribe anybody. And that is what we have been living with and living under. The things that are legal is what has been fucking us and fucking democracy. Well, guess what? Those things that they were doing that were legal, they got greedy. And I think we're seeing some activity. I just wanted to read another headline that just makes me so happy. Do you remember that time that Kimberly Guilfoyle was bragging about raising millions for the rally that fueled the Capitol riot? Remember that? Yeah, she just got subpoenaed today as well. They requested, January 6th committee is requesting her, Ms. Guilfoyle's presence. So
Kimberly Guilfoyle was fucking dancing while the insurrection was going on. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to not remember
the fucking
that.
Tent, like
I can't unsee it.
Look at the fucking riot. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. How much money she raised? Like several $1 million.
Yeah.
With Ginny Thomas, right?
Do you remember that look on her face when it was all over? Do you remember that? There was that look where she looked just like Leona Helmsley, like the jig was up. The very last shot you see of her and Junior when it's the end of the Trump presidency, the Leona Helmsley in her came out, and she clearly looked like she knew the jig was up, and all the endorsements and the $15,000 appearances were going to go away. So good luck, kid.
You see the price on this thing?
What is it?
This is Donald Barr's Space Relations.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
That's people telling you should never buy it. That's what that is.
You should see the price on my Sublime book.
There's one used that's available for $1,500 for
Yeah.
Donald
No,
Barr's
thank you.
Space
Besides,
Relations.
if you look on a torrent site, I'm sure it's already out there. Like I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nobody's gonna read it.
Pirated
It's just
it.
funny to have it.
Yeah. People are weird,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
What-
Yeah.
People are weird.
Wasn't there like incest, like space, like
It was some weird
Bad-
space sex,
like
slave
incest
something.
stuff, like weird. Ugh.
TLD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patriarchy dies hard, yo.
space.
Speaking of books, look what arrived in the mail today. My book. I don't know if you can
Oh, I
see
can't see it. Tilt it
Ah.
forward. Tilt it. Oh, a wretch like me. there
That's
is.
my new book.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty
Nice.
excited about that. Thanks for the shameless promo, but it is exciting. A lot of freaking work goes into that kind of stuff.
How many lists are you on? You're number one on now.
We
Is
were
it still
we
five?
were we did a promo. We were number one on 5 lists, which was really incredible. We're going to do another promo again. We've got like 36 reviews, a lot of them from men. This is a book about incest. This is a book about the patriarchy and privilege in certain, churchy types where they think they have ownership over their women, including their daughters. And the woman who told her story is so brave, and she's now hearing from people from all across the country who are now sharing their stories, as people do when someone steps up and has courage to talk about what their reality was. But yeah, so and speaking of that, I can't talk about it, but I do know about it, that there are people that are caught up in the January 6th investigation that also think it's okay to have dominion over your children. And that's all I'm going to say. I ain't going to say no more. But that shouldn't surprise you, considering the rabbit holes you guys go down.
No, that's pretty standard for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
this crew. Actually, if you look at, you've got the Matt Geitz character, the Joel Greenberg dude.
Yeah.
They're coming for Matt.
Yeah.
You've got the guy up in Wisconsin who was with somebody from the college Republicans, and they were running a sex trafficking ring.
Yeah.
Charming,
Yeah.
bro.
I remember at one point doing a tally of all the convicted pedophiles that were in Trump's orbit. It was like, I think it was in the hundreds. It was not in the dozens. And as you guys know, I always look at this thing as cover for, big transnational human trafficking mob. So much of their orbit, which again shouldn't surprise you.
I always go back to look at the propaganda that's put out, right? It's always projection.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So QAnon, what was it about? It was about satanic pedophiles. It was about people who hurt kids and traffic them, right?
Yeah.
And so they took a real crime and flipped it on its head and pointed it at other people.
Right.
It's what all Nazis do, and I say Nazis with a little n, like all fascists who do not care about humans and just care about the power that they're going to generate.
That's right.
That's how they do it.
What's going to happen when all of these Nazis and trolls are out of work? What are they going to do?
They'll
Well,
never
have you
be out of
noticed-
work.
Really?
They will never be out of work. It's just a matter of how they get paid.
I don't know. I feel like one of the most brilliant things about the precipice that we're on right now, the way I feel about it, is that we four are fighting evil, straight up evil, that has endless supplies of money, and yet they're so shitty at some aspects of it. And we are literally doing this as in-kind donations and civic duty and with a handful of blessed patrons. But it blows my mind, and maybe it's because the gene pool of people willing to do the kind of soul-sucking corrupt work is not so great. I don't know. But I mean, I feel like this is a David and Goliath battle, and I feel like the Davids of this world are actually making a lot of progress. And it's interesting because the money and the power has been completely on the side of corruption. But maybe at some point, Brent Allpress was right and they just got too greedy. And maybe now we're seeing the manifestation of that.
I think that's true. I think, we got to a point, I think they screwed up and got to it too early, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I was really, my big concern was that this was going to happen, 6 months from now.
Right.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right before the elections.
Right.
So God knows what they have up their sleeve, but something happened to push Putin to do this now, and I still haven't quite figured out what it is, but it made him create a mistake. Go ahead.
He thought he was going to make Biden look bad. He thought he was going to make himself look big and good. He thought he had the fifth column, here all on his side. And I think this is his pattern. He's in the shitter. He's backed in a corner. His poll numbers are down. The jig is up, and he makes war. And he did it again. And what's interesting is when you look at the Russian strategy, particularly in the psychological war, you realize that they work from what their goal is and work back. So for him to have had such a strategic, massive level fuck up is actually quite shocking.
It is.
Hey, hold on. Go ahead.
One, I would like to point out that I said he fucked up a couple episodes ago, and you guys are like, no, he didn't fuck up. No, he fucked up. His timing was off. He played his big move too early.
Hi-Fi was right.
Did you raise your hand for an I told you so?
No, there was another thing. You, maybe.
Wow.
But you want to know what the card up his sleeve?
Harsh.
You want to know what the card up Putin's sleeve is?
What?
It's nukes.
Yeah.
Right now, he is bombing nuclear power plants. The largest nuclear power plant in Europe was on fire earlier today from shelling.
I know.
Apparently,
They were having a fucking firefight in the nuclear power plant.
I know.
Like,
why is Putin? Here's the thing. Why is Putin going for? You notice he grabbed Chernobyl fast, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now he's pulling this shit. I think this motherfucker is trying for a dirty bomb. I think he's trying for nuclear material to blow off a dirty bomb and say, "Oh, it was Ukraine. They did it."
Or they just went off.
Or he wants a Chernobyl. And
Him and his pickle generals are, their desperation is showing. And I've studied Chernobyl from every single end, back and forth. And
Did you see the radiation readings were 20 times higher?
The leaders of that country for what they did, and knowingly what they did to the people who were impacted, and allowing the May Day parade to continue. And, they say the cover-up's worse than the crime. The fucking crime was bad. The cover-up was bad. But one thing I will say is those freaking bio-robots, those men that went in to clean up that mess, those are the bravest motherfuckers on the planet. Like, I can't even talk about them without crying. Like, they knew what they were getting into. The pay wasn't fucking great, and they still did it. And I just will always think that there are like degrees of bravery that it just, exceed anything I've seen in humanity. And those guys they're fucking incredible.
I think humanity has risen to the occasion quite a bit lately. I mean, there are, 16,000, veterans, warriors going into Ukraine to help the Ukrainian people.
Right.
Except for Steven Seagal.
Oh my God.
He's fighting on the side of Russia.
Did you see that?
He must have been compromised somewhere. It can't just be about money and taxes.
Steven Seagal's been a fucking Russian for a long time, like a literal Russian.
I hear that and I think, what video do they have on him? I don't know.
I don't think you need video on Steven Seagal. I think that dude just goes wherever the money is, and he did.
What does he think he does over there? I mean, It's not like he
dances and drinks, I'm sure.
like Van Damme or
He,
something.
he's just the token American that they tried out to say, hey, look, we got the Americans.
They apply the shoe polish to his hair and his beard first, and then they bring him out.
Actually, I saw a little video of him dancing. He kind of danced all right, you know.
He danced for Putin.
He danced for but
Pole dance.
Anyway. Let's just give a shout out to our Canadian friends, okay? Martin Scheel, after giving us a dour assessment, Martin Scheel, who is the retired IRS, he was a criminal investigator and a good friend of RadPod. He likes to give me, I'm his favorite, so I get to break news, and that's really great. He's now been interviewed all over Canada since he gave me this bit. He gave us kind of a dour report about what the sanctions would really do for the oligarchs, because he showed us the complicated and complex web of all of the shells and how hard it would be actually, and all the tentacles to, you know, domestic traitors, blah, blah. But he said that Chrystia Freeland, who's the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, whose mother, I believe, is Ukraine, he said, let me take a moment and tell you who, in my opinion, just won this war. There's a lady from Canada, Chrystia Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister. She is, in fact, cutting Russia's economy down to the size of Zimbabwe. She has an extensive background in economics. She came up with the idea of cutting off Russia's central bank and their rainy day fund that was intended to be used as an economic buffer. She's the one who circulated the theory among prominent central bankers in the Western world and fought for it. She, in fact, fought for it. Marty says he doesn't know if the timing of its activation was intentional or serendipitous, but it turned out to be sublime. Putin was caught with his pants down. The Russian stock market has been closed for the week. And he said, please note, it was only after this particular sanction maneuver that Deripaska and Friedman and some other oligarchs started publicly squeaking. Chrystia Freeland is our new hero, and he says we need to spread her name from the rooftops and that she may have saved Western civilization as we know it. Those are big words from him. Mm-hmm. We can only hope. This is always about money. We know Putin backed into a corner, desperate, scary. We know how dire it is. Dave Troy may prove to be right, that if he is not killed, toot sweet, that, you know, kablooey. But I know
for power, anything.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
He's a fascist. It's simple. He is a fascist. He will do whatever he thinks
he's
will
insane
get him
and he needs
the well, he's yes, he is. But fundamentally, he is a fascist. He's a sociopath, right? He was a killer from birth, which is why they put him into the KGB, and then the KGB, you know, like got every last bit of humanity out of that guy if there ever was any.
Yeah.
And he's just a fucking killer who is out to increase his own power. Well, and so every single thing that you look at has to be seen in that light. He does not believe that backing down at this point is a way to increase his power. He would rather, you know, explode.
I think that he has been stealing from the very beginning. He is the biggest thief that Russia's ever seen, to my awareness, probably following in a long line of thieves. And perhaps the Russian people, even in their information bubble, are fully aware of it. And judging by the amount of people on the streets protesting against this war, there's probably some great awareness of it. So
you know what's going to cause the awareness? Apple is cutting off their fucking services.
Yeah.
So
that's big.
Hey, Nike's shutting down their stores. IKEA's shutting down their stores. Adidas is no longer selling sweatsuits. There are going to be a lot of pissed off people.
Okay, I got to say, the Adidas sweatsuit thing may be a stereotype, but where I come from, it's legit. Like that is that, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's the sweatsuits and the vodka. There's also a vodka boycott.
Oh, I found out that their vodka actually, that the biggest distilleries aren't even in Russia. The vodka that they drink in their preference, Not, I think they're in Poland and America, and so
Tito's.
yeah.
Shut it down.
Tito's
Shut
in
it down.
San Antonio, right down the road.
Cut them off.
Wow.
Cut off Russia.
Sharon had a question. What happened to the truck convoys? Well,
Yep.
thankfully, glad you asked, Sharon. They flopped here. I think Hi-Fi probably probing the money, and the Canadians very wisely freezing the money that was supposed to be a part of this racket may have had quite an impact on the success of it. And of course, the Canadian pot banger, my future husband. Like that
What if I
guy.
get to him first?
Hook me up, man. Hook me up.
So did you
Learn.
guys see today that Jacob A. Wells, a man who I asked to take down the Rittenhouse fundraiser, he said no. Well, today he testified in front of Canadian Parliament that, well, if the KKK if they started a fundraiser on our site and it was legal, we'd let it go.
Yeah.
This woman right here,
Yeah.
Pam Dama. So I would like people, if our listeners could go out and start some fundraisers on Give, Send, Go. One of my ideas was ISIS knife sharpening tools, because that's legal, right?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Keep going.
I could. Well, we have the pedophile ministers, pastors, priests, and reverends,
Excellent.
otherwise known as Pimper,
Yeah.
the Playground Rebuilding Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if Give, Send, Go will let that on.
Yeah.
It's legal, right?
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with these people? There has to be a line. There are rules.
No, it's a racket. Come on. You proved it. And by the way, I felt proud. I felt so proud of you. Our boy Hi-Fi went on Tony Michaels and Gabe Sanchez's show. And he broke down the data that he had investigated on the Give, Send, Go trucker convoy fundraiser. And it was just like so super pro. Like it was just like,
it still felt very long to me. I mean, that was a long interview. So
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to record
job.
just the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
With no commentary.
Do it for our patrons. Do it for our patrons.
There you go.
I think it would
I'll do
be
for our
like
patrons.
they care. Our patrons, as we have learned and as we know, they're all so smart. They're so smart. And I think that they would really appreciate it. And then they can then take it out into their families and their communities. We tend to attract people not only who are super brainy, but who also are dealing with having family members that don't see things as we see them. So we become kind of like a oasis for some people. And I always point out that even Ruth Ben-Ghiat's mother have been mind fucked by Russia Today. She's in the UK, and she believes that why is Biden hurting poor Putin?
And Ruth is on the Kremlin File podcast this week.
Yeah, she's
Fantastic.
great. She's
They're all-
great.
they're all-
Yeah, yeah.
Do people not remember
She's coming
Russia?
on our show too. What's that?
Do people not remember Russia? Do people not remember Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev
No,
take down this wall?
no, they don't.
They don't.
Do people not remember Khrushchev banging his shoe?
No, they don't.
No.
Russia
They-
is not our friend. And it's not the Russian people. It's
Yeah.
the Russian authority.
Yeah, well, Stalin, who is their hero, starved 4 million Ukrainians, and that's been written out of history. Stalin's this big hero because he happened to stomp some Nazis. Well, again, having family,
Stalin murdered like 30 or 40 million people.
millions of people, and the Russians.
Stalin killed more people than Hitler did. I mean, over the course of his reign.
Yep. The 80s propaganda.
Bad.
Remember Red Dawn? You guys remember that movie?
Yeah,
Propaganda movie?
Wolverines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Amazing.
yeah. Well,
Rocky IV was it?
I don't get it. What happens?
Well, I think that. Oh, so but you know what happened? You know where the reversal was. That's in that story I did with Dave Troy and Jim knows all about it in Byline Times. The very first thing I did with Dave was like a couple hours after he finally put everything together about, the World Congress of Families and where things turned, where they went from being, conservatives were anti-Russian to where they became pro-Kremlin, pro-Putin. It had to do with their dominionism. It had to do with their anti-gay stance, had to do with racism. They intersect over all those things that go contrary to progressive values in democracies. And the majority of people are perfectly fine with progressive values. So they're clinging, white knuckling to.
It's also oil, right? It's
yes, oil too. Yes,
there's
big time.
Yeah, there's a fundamental connection between doomsday ideology and fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That, like, if you own fossil fuels and the equipment to extract them, you want the end of the world to be coming. You want it to not matter to that the earth is dying. You want all that stuff to be shunted to the side in favor of religion or some other form of brainwashing.
And in the words of the Ramones, I want to live. I want.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with "I want to be sedated."
No.
Actually, hold on. I got to point something out in the comments. Somebody accused me of not paying attention, and I would ask them, "Have you never heard of asking a question because you know what the answer is going to be, but you want other people to hear what the answer is going to be?" My bad.
Okay. All right. Hi-Fi really helped me the other day, like he always does.
The Socratic method.
Well, so anytime a troll, shows up on anything that I'm joyful about, they're always digging up something that ran in some publication, pre-November 2016. And
your think tank, Heidi.
And Hi-Fi pointed out something so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. I'm sure I'm going to care all about taxes, regulation, and all that shit again once we get rid of the traitors in our country. Yeah. But Hi-Fi pointed out something that was so beautiful. He was just like, "Did you ever think it's just karmic retribution for all those years you spent, within the Fox system?" I was like, yeah. I mean, I did a lot of good work there. I had the good beat. I had a great boss. Most of those years, all those years, I had two great bosses. And so I'm proud of a lot of it. But he's right. I was a ratings. A lot of the stuff I did was about ratings, and I was making Rupert Murdoch money. So I guess this is karmic retribution. I thought I already paid for it, but I guess not. So it's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool. But I do want to say I'm super hard to hate. Like, good luck to him. You know what I mean? It ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a sweetheart.
At the same time, I feel like my karmic retribution is because I made Silicon Valley millions of dollars. Like I spent 4, 5, 6 years in Silicon Valley for Silicon Valley companies, making them a ton of money. And I feel like I accidentally contributed to that war machine.
But you also knew it going in, and you knew that you were going to have to be involved in it in order to take it down and make it right. So,
that's why I got into IT in the first place.
Yes, thank you.
Apparently, my karmic retribution is for helping invent alternate reality games in the first place.
Asshole.
Yeah.
What'd you do that for?
Bring it.
What'd you do that
I
for?
deserve every bit of it.
Well, now we gotta write new laws to regulate your type of shit, Joe.
No, this little Catholic girl, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we're in a confessional right now. Like, let's bring it. Okay, Sean, what is your karmic retribution?
What's your sins, Sean?
Oh man, I got a bunch.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, I got two. I'll mention here, and I'll let everybody else find out some. No, I was after undergraduate, before going to graduate school, I worked at a online auto refinance company called Rate. Was it called Rate Genius? Yeah, something like that. And it was before the economy collapsed, and we did some bad things. You know, I mean,
I'm just
it was a bunch of
laughing.
it was a bunch of old '80s car dogs working there, and they were teaching us all these tricks, and it was. I
Just
mean,
to get
signs.
whatever loan.
Oh
We're
yeah,
just gonna get the loan closed no
they
matter what.
they wouldn't get the papers back, and they would do all sorts of tricky shit, and it was like rigging. I think that was when I don't know if this is still true, but California didn't have a cap on interest rates, so people would be calling in with like a 26% interest, and it was like,
oh
Jesus.
fuck.
And it was like, well, how about we take you out 72 months? The rate will be cheaper every month, and it was like, oh my god, it's terrible. So I
Remind
didn't do
me
that.
just because it's Rad Pod and Chill, I just have to tell you about the worst billboard I ever saw in my life because it reminded me of Rate Genius.
Yeah.
So I was driving in San Francisco, and there was a company. It was a real estate company, and it had a slogan about the rate that it had. It said, "Think of us as your rate crisis center."
Yeah, it was bad.
And I was like,
dude.
I was like, wait.
Yeah,
Did
these
you
guys
just
were
make a
consonant
double
Yeah.
entendre?
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
That's
They
bad.
did.
I was like, wait, did that just happen? And sure enough, a couple days later, it got taken down. But I was just thinking about the chain of events that had to take place in order for that to get on a billboard, on 101 in San Francisco. Like
it was
a
Ray Genius.
big
I can tell you
billboard.
what that changed.
I can tell you right now, if I gurgled any of those keywords, I would find out that whoever owned the company and signed off was probably a Trump supporter.
It was probably on cocaine. I have to let me tell you this. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Someone had to pitch it. Someone had to fucking
Yeah.
accept it. Like,
Yeah.
Well, you got to hear the story real quick about these old '80s car dogs telling us their tricks back in the day when they used to have a good time. You know, now they got all these regulations. So this one guy would tell me, everybody out on the floor, they would, they would just get them primed, and people, ready to close, and they would stick them in the waiting room, and it would either be the heater would be on full blast, or it would be the opposite of the season. So they would sweat them out, or they would freeze them out just because they wanted to get the hell out of there, and they would push it, So his room had no windows; it just the doors would shut. He'd be in there doing barrels of cocaine and smoking cigarettes, and then eventually they would come in. And this was in Texas, and so he would look to see what ring. If the guy had a alma mater, if he had a ring on, and he had a drawer full of class rings. So when he walked in, he would.
Oh come on!
As he was talking, and he would
Glenn Ross,
and he would slip on the ring, whatever to match the bands. He was like, "Oh, you an Aggie?" He was like, "All right, man, class A7 or whatever it was."
Geez.
And then they would he was like every time.
Actually,
knock themselves out.
Sean brings up a good point here, it's about manipulation, right? And one of the things our country, the world, I mean, as Alex explained it on the show, influence and alternate reality and, bonding, manipulating, changing people's minds.
Yeah.
That's part of this whole fucked up situation we're in right now.
Yeah, except that this is that, but on steroids, and people are unaware, and new tools, and like all the old people on Facebook, they were the highest percentage of people sharing false Russian troll stories in 2016. So it was vulnerable. I don't have a television. You can't market your shit to me. I'm not on Facebook. I don't see that shit. So I've dialed it down as much as possible in my life.
I'm looking in the chat here. What did I say about old ladies? Did I say something about old ladies?
Did I say something about old ladies?
It says,
Sharon said old ladies are invisible. That's our superpower.
Well, actually,
Sharon, I can't wait till I get like really old. I'm going to be like the crotchetiest motherfucker, and people are going to let me get away with it because I'm.
What do you mean? You're crotchety.
What are you talking? What do you?
It's like you're the crotchetiest.
More.
I have a couple quick stories for you. This is breaking news. My daughter is DJing her first DJ set tonight, and she told me that I am only allowed to make one request ever. Like I can't one, right? So I made my request, and the breaking news is that I'm playing the PJ Harvey song you sent me instead of the Amy Winehouse song that you requested. So I guess I will get two requests. Amy Winehouse next week. and PJ Harvey. So that's my
Sounds like,
breaking news.
that was like a O. Henry
Good
story.
choice.
You get one request.
I get one request, and I'm not allowed to tweet it because she's just like, "This is
So
my
can
first
we
set, Mom."
can we talk about the psychological manipulation part again?
Yeah,
Yes.
let's roll back a
Yeah,
little
let's
bit.
do
Go
it.
ahead.
Let's do it.
From the car
Because
about the car stories.
Sean's got a very important T-shirt on. We're
Yeah.
all in this psyop together,
Yeah.
and you know, all of us are getting psyoped.
Oh yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And yes, you are. Absolutely, you are.
Yeah.
And it's the way the thing about surviving in the 21st century moving forward is going to be about being able to detect
Yeah.
when people are
As much as
manipulating
possible.
you, defend
Yes.
yourself from that
Oh,
and counteract it wherever you can.
well, that's
Because
easy.
we are
Everything is
now-
a psyop.
We
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, look, you can make that argument, right? Like
Yeah.
if I do an ad on TV, in a sense, it's a psyop because you created something that's designed to change someone's mind about a
Yeah.
particular product, right?
Yeah.
The question is, and there is no bright line, is it coercive or not,
Mm.
right? Like trying to convince somebody of something isn't bad necessarily. Manipulating somebody isn't necessarily bad either. People do it all the time. I manipulate you into going to the bar with me when you didn't really want to, but we had a
Right.
great time, and everyone is fine.
Right.
The difference is, does it cause harm?
Right.
And is it involuntarily delivered in a way that's coercive?
Right.
And there is, all of us are just going through that. And part of the reason why I feel a little bit happier today than I did yesterday is
Yeah.
because RT is going away, because
Yeah.
OAN got rejected by
Yeah.
DirecTV. There actually seems to be a bit of recognition
Yeah.
that this propaganda is destroying America from the inside out. And
Yeah.
so I think for me, the thing that I just want everyone to really, really, really look at is when somebody tells you something, who are they?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about them?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know their identity. You don't have to know their political party, but what are they? What do they
Mhm.
do? Are they genuine, or are they trying to sell you something?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
And
great.
and that the selling is of fascism, and
Yeah.
don't get sold. And I'm talking to some particular people right now.
And Jim,
I'm selling democracy.
I know heed his words. It's so true. And I just want to add to that one of my patrons is distraught that people say shitty things about me online, anonymous accounts. And the fact is that I learned a long time ago, not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. She was concerned that people who don't really know me might be swayed. And there's really not that much I can do about that either. But I think that what Jim is talking about is something that's so profoundly important that people at this point, this deep into the psychological war that we're in, they should be looking at the action of people. They should be looking at the authenticity of people. If somebody is using their real name, if somebody is very easy to find out if they're an authentic person, and then see what action they're doing. If you're looking at someone like me, it's very easy to figure out the action that I'm taking. Look at Hi-Fi. Look at the show when he did his recap of Give, Send, Go and the action that he's taken in all those hours. Sean's just a badass. Jim's action, it's like what you've been doing is like a book. Like I'm reading every single level of this going, holy shit, this stuff to me is like, like you are developing quite a catalog on the subject matters that you're
I now
expert
have a
in.
literal catalog, which is very helpful.
Yeah, it's really helpful. And I
Like
also
you
think it's,
motherfuckers took away my Twitter, but you gave me an enormous database. So
well,
Databases, yay! We
But I
love
also-
data.
I also think it's important that, again, going back to anonymous manipulations, if somebody who is continually bullying starts playing the victim, that might be something you want to look at and zoom out and look at, because that is an op. And then some of these folks are fucking sloppy. That's all I got to say, is they're just sloppy, you know?
Yeah, and I think we, unfortunately, we're coming into the era, you know, with Trump being the example of like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example. Perfect. She's just modeling that behavior, you know? I mean,
That's what she gets paid to do.
Well,
Boebert
yeah,
gets
she's like, I
paid
can
to do that.
I don't know politics. I don't care about, you know,
She's
legislation
a
or anything.
troll. They're
But
trolls.
I can do, yeah, I can do what he does, and that's what she's done, you know.
They're
And
trolls.
she's, yeah, and so
Trolls,
it's, you know,
trolls. I am not distracted. Trolls. We have Marie begging for anagrams, and I think we should start.
Oh yeah,
with
I have a Marjorie
the
Taylor Greene.
lizard.
No,
It's
Marge
time
Campbell.
for the lizard.
Yeah.
The lizard.
The lizard
lizard.
anagrams. Hero
I
of
think we need to
chill.
make a lizard T-shirt.
I have
You know.
the actual, yeah, totally.
We gotta merch some of this stuff.
Let's see which one do we start with. Marjorie Taylor Greene, since we're talking about it. Here we go. Marjorie Taylor Greene into Rage Dear Reality Moron.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. Oh my! Hang it in the Louvre, bro.
Yes.
Hang it in the
Rage
Louvre.
Dear Reality Moron. That's Marjorie Taylor.
Wow.
Wow.
She's definitely rage inducing. That I'm still affected by that Fuentes kid video.
Oh,
Screenshot
Yeah.
that. We need a screenshot. That.
okay,
needs
which
go
one do you
up,
want to do?
right
You
now.
want, here's your option.
I would. Did you do one from Malefiev or no? Not yet.
No, not
okay.
that one.
Okay,
I didn't
that's
know.
all right.
Yeah. So we have
That's
Mike
okay.
Flynn. We got Vlad Putin. We have
Okay.
Action First.
You got Putin?
Yeah, I got
Oh.
Putin.
Oh, I hope it's good.
You want Putin? Oh yeah, I'll go with Putin.
Rage Dear. Can I actually see Rage Dear Reality Moron again? Can you do the? Can you go back
The
to
transition.
I could, but
Okay. That's
Rage
fucking
Dear
amazing.
Reality Moron.
Thank you for that. That's
Right.
nice.
Rage.
Let's go with the see what Putin sees.
Vladimir Putin.
I invalid Trump. I invalid. Wow, invalid or invalid works. Wow, I invalid Trump.
Yes.
One of,
I
one of
invalid
you
Trump.
guys do that? Can you do it with a Russian accent? I cannot.
I can't either. So, but that I thought that was pretty interesting. Boop.
That's really great. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that actually is true, because he will prop somebody up and then completely take him down too. So that is very. If the Trump family circus is watching, they should take that very seriously.
He's going to change his name.
Yeah, Trump is completely done. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing that the thing that's amazing is that.
Wait,
what do we got?
what's Health Flimsy Cod Man? I love this. What's that?
This is. You ready?
Yeah.
Health Flimsy Con Man.
Health
Flimsy
Flimsy
Con
Con Man. Michael
Oh my
Thomas Flynn. Health Flimsy Con Man. Health.
Flimsy Con Man. That's
Does
my-
health have anything else? Let me see if I could do something else with health.
Lizard. Oh no.
Lizard. Yes, lizard.
Lizard. And
Yeah.
the last one.
I like
Here
the
we-
flimsy con man part a lot.
Yeah, I had it was the Flimsy
Well,
Con Man.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good way to greet him.
But he
Yeah,
does have
like-
that kind of tan, so he looks a little healthy, so that's okay.
All right, here we go. This
No. Health is like he's trying to kill everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think the
Should be
the
focused on
anagram
health.
is like health. You flimsy con man.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's that.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. The last one. This is a long one.
Oh man. America.
What, you guys see that one?
Yeah, no.
America first.
It
No.
froze. It froze. America
Oh,
First
America
Political Action.
First Political Action Conference, that kind of fuckery.
Nick Fuentes crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Infertile 8-man of racialist concoction. That is the apex. That is the Sean Conner anagram apex. Wow. Wow.
That nailed it. Ding, ding,
Wow.
ding, ding, ding.
This is like winning like a global spelling bee.
I know, that's ridiculous.
Infertile ape man
granted-
of racialist concoctor. That is
Yes.
incredible.
Isn't that crazy? Infertile ape man of racialist concoctor. Obviously, when you have more
Wow.
letters, you can do more combinations. But that,
Yes, but still,
I know.
it really applies. The Neanderthal
Yes,
undertone,
the racism, yes.
the
Oh, man.
infertility
And
subtext.
the infertile incel, like
Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
that
That was-
dude
Yes.
he's never
And the
he's-
concoctor is like wizardy, like
Exactly.
you picture like the wizard. Wow.
Right. So I was trying to choose between infertile or impotent, but this one came
Infertile fit? Yeah, that's
Infertile works.
amazing. Wow. I feel like we've really accomplished something tonight. We
love
didn't
this.
talk about our incredible episode 15, which I think was pretty much the apex of what we do. We had so much news that we broke in Ep 15. Are we still here?
I kicked you guys off the screen somehow.
Oopsie.
Well,
Oh, yeah, here's this.
I'll keep gabbing
There we
until we
go.
come
There we
back. But I did want to say that having Alex Alvarova on, the author and anti-disinformation activist, and having her reflect upon what it was like growing up in Soviet-era Czechoslovakia, and as Jim said, after you hear Alex talk, if you still want that, there might be something fucking wrong with you. So I think that I recommend, rather than just sort of short shrift it and just do a couple sound bites, I would like everybody to watch Alex's interview on episode 15. It was profoundly important. But of course, I'm so proud of the legacy of our show and the interviews that we have. And
yeah, I mean, it's
been incredible.
Just to emphasize, she grew up in Soviet Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
She knows what it is. She knows what it's like to be terrified, to live in
Yeah.
two different worlds. One
Yeah.
where the fucking, the Spetsnazes can come down and murder you if you say something bad about,
Yeah.
the leaders.
Next guest.
And the other where you're hidden in your home with your family saying this stuff that you actually mean, right? If
Yeah.
that's what you fucking want, then go to a place where other people want that. Get the hell out of here.
What
Yeah.
kind of smegma life is that for anyone?
You wanna tease our next guest, or you wanna tell these guys?
Well, our next guest
That was
is
for
going to
you,
be
Sharon.
another global brilliant disinformation specialist. That's all I'll say about that. We usually tease it like, the night before.
But he's fantastic. He's in the middle of something right now, right?
Well, there's yeah. So yes, I think one of the things that Alex said that I think is so profoundly important. Excuse me. This is so important to me. She said that when anything happens, when there's any kind of incident, that you can almost count the hours between when there's silence and when the trolls get their marching orders. You can see the Republican Party do the exact same thing too, when they all have the same talking points. And that totally made me remember what happened after the election of 2016, when the trolls had fulfilled their contracts and it was so quiet. Do you remember all that Hillary venom, all that MAGA shit? It was so
48
quiet
hours.
on Twitter. It was so fucking quiet. And then, of course, they realized, everyone will know this was all fucking fake, and they started up again. But why that was important is I spent all last night, 2 a.m. to whatever, revisiting Parscale, and I found an article where he's taking credit for essentially what evolved into Stop the Steal. He's taking credit. So there was an article where he says he scripted that. I went back to Project Alamo. Where are they now? Looking at that portrait that Don Jr. put out of all those people. Where are they now? That was a domestic troll farm. We didn't look at it that way, but that's exactly what that was.
That's right.
And then I showed the video of Teresa Hong as she's saying, without Facebook, we wouldn't have won. And she's given the tour to the BBC with Project Alamo in San Antonio and showing how this is where Cambridge Analytica's offices were.
And
here's where
did,
Facebook's offices were.
Where did Brad Parscale go to college? San Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot.
Sorry, go ahead, Patty.
No, this is something you always bring up, Jim. You always bring up points that make me reflect on this. We cannot ignore the recent facts and the recent history just because time has passed and because there's a flood of shit news all day long. We have to stay focused on the crimes that occurred and figure out where the criminality is and go for it. And I'll tell you, if you look at Parscale's fucking cloud commerce shit, you're going to find some bullshit. The felon who runs that penny stock bullshit, you know, I cannot emphasize enough that we have work to be done. A lot of cleanup.
If you get the last word, then we got to go.
Okay.
And
I would recommend that people go look up the arrest video from when Brad Parscale was arrested. The police were there ostensibly because his wife called them, but his reaction was far more severe, partially because he was intoxicated, but he said, "It's all over," or something to that effect. He thought that the entire operation had been busted, I think. So go look up his arrest scene. There's video.
Yeah. I just remember thinking if he was African American, he probably would not be alive.
Oh, yeah.
So
No, he's in there. He's in Florida drinking beers with the cops.
Yeah, right. Jim, what say you? You were about to say one other thing, just in looking back at recent history and things that we can't forget.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the troll farms and 2016, and I just want to remind everyone about MAGA 3X, the way that data was actually weaponized, right? How did they use the data, right? It wasn't just Facebook ads. They used it to create hashtags, to divide people across cultural and geographic lines, specifically because they were targeting swing states. It was very well calculated, both at the obviously at the scientific level with Cambridge, but that doesn't work unless you have the boots on the ground. And the boots on the ground were MAGA 3X and all of the fucking Pizzagate, WikiLeaks trolls that were running around. And as you said, until we come to grips with what happened in 2016 and we actually take a look at the 5 years of damage that has been done as a result, we're not going to come to a real reckoning.
Yeah, no, we're still in peril. And as I wrote the other day, the cleanup on Isle treason is going to be massive.
I guess.
Massive.
See you this
Hope
weekend.
so.
Love you guys. I'm going to go listen to my daughter's DJ set.
Good show, guys. Did you send me the link?